I struggle with, right? Is knowing when to be gentle, right? Like not necessarily going with what I know, but kind of assessing, you know what? This is not the kind of tone I should have with you right now, right? Maybe I need to tone down what I'm saying right now. And so for me, it kind of gave me like this, okay, Henrietta, right? Like,
for the sake of peace.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you know, there might be a difficult person in the room, but doesn't mean you have to come across as if you're just going to discipline them or kind of tell them what they're not technically doing right.
Yeah.
And come more on the understanding that, you know what, you might be having a hard day, right? And thinking outside the whole you're a problem and more how can I understand the problem?
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that to me was huge. And I think it really will help me in just relationship, because one of the things he said was, you know, the real value is in relationships. It's not in the money. It's not in the things. It's in relationships. So being diplomatic for me will literally, I feel like will help me in changing that dynamic in my relationships.
Right.
So yeah, that was mine.
One thing that he said last night is this: God is a God of details. And as a creator, it's just, he broke down a lot last night, but that stuck with me because sometimes when it comes down, a lot of times when it comes down to me, I can be it's either or with me. I could be very meticulous with something, or I could be kind of whatever and stuff. And my thing is, what he was emphasizing was the discipline to maintain that level of detail, right? Like anything you work with, either if it's something that you're creating, or if it's something for somebody else, mind the details. Then he read the scripture from Exodus talking about what God wanted in the temple, the kind of offerings he wanted. It wasn't just some random, you know, I just want, you know, a little 10% of it. No, it was just like there was a certain way, there were certain colors that he wanted. There was certain jewelry, there was something like gold, silver, but everything was detailed. Yeah. Everything was on purpose. And even so, it was crazy because in that passage that he read from, it was mentioned that God wanted these gifts or this offering, first off, given with the right heart. So the first detail was the heart. Right. So I really, I know that when it comes down to the details, it could get really tedious to be that, like, sometimes even so, people who are really detail oriented could be kind of hard to work with sometimes, because it's like if you get one thing off, you get, you get roared at. But it's just like the details matter. The details matter. If you get one thing, especially if you're working on a work of art, it's like the details matter. If you get one thing wrong, even when it comes down to just how things work, if you're making a clock, the details matter. One gear is off and the whole thing goes off. So I take that, but also asking God to give me the grace to remain, like to discipline my mind, to mind the details, and to follow the details of his instructions. So it's just like, it's not just, if he told me, Ash, I want you to go on that white carpet right in the center, jump up 3 times and say glory. If I don't mind the simple details, and I do it maybe 2 times, and I'm like maybe at the bottom right and stuff, and then I walk back to my seat and I'm like, okay, God, I'm waiting for my blessing. Right. It's just like, well, you didn't follow instructions. You didn't mind the details of the instructions. Now you're going a day, a week, wondering where your visitation is, but you didn't mind the details. Right. So I'm even as I'm telling you right now, it's just like, I'm like, yo, God, I receive your grace to mind the details of your instructions and to obey your instructions to the letter. as they say. Even when it comes down to my art, even when it comes down to the things that may not feel comfortable or safe, you know, when it comes down to him commanding me to do a thing, to mind the details, because I don't want to continue to be in a mindset of thinking I'm owed something from God or waiting for something from God, and I did not mind the details. Mm-hmm. So I'm over here saying, oh, it's my season, my time and stuff like that. Harvest, pastor lay hands on me over and over again, and yet I'm not getting anything because I'm not one who minds the details. Right. So yeah, that's what I took away from that. The diplomacy thing I did like too, because we call ourselves, you know, ambassadors for Christ, and it's like ambassadors are diplomats, but diplomats are peacemakers. Right. So I know that's been our word for the year. So that was a takeaway, because that was just confirmation of what we were already given earlier this year. So that's it.
No, but before you share yours, even thinking about like the leopard in the Bible, if he didn't dip 7 times, or even Jericho, if they decided to just do it once and thought something was going to happen to the building or the tower. Oh God, like you told us we were going to the promised land. Why hasn't this fallen yet? Right? If they didn't continue to do what God, exactly what he said, they wouldn't have got that. So it's just a piggyback on what you said.
I think it also goes in line of, we are called to be people of excellence. People of excellence mind the details of everything they do. Yeah. Like if you say, it's like there's I could think of, like, say, like, just an example. There's a dance duo named the Les Twins, right? And if you look at how they dance and stuff like that, and their camaraderie and stuff, they mind the details of their movements. They're not just up there just pop, like, it's like everything is on purpose. It's either, even if it's freestyle, it's on purpose. Right. But they're minding the details of how they do a certain movement while the music is going, while the beat is going, and stuff like that, because minding those details is how the crowd is going to react or receive their performance. And I think, I do believe, I can't speak for every Christian, but with me, I did slip time after time into the mindset of thinking that I was supposed to get something without even really minding the details. So days would go by, months would go by, and I wouldn't see something. Meanwhile, if I were to run back and look, it'd be like, okay, did you mind the details here? Pastor Jason said, well, I believe, if I'm saying this wrong, please correct me. He says the most prophetic thing you can do is prepare. It's just like, so you prepare for the prophetic. Am I saying that right? Yeah. Am I? Okay, Albanir said that. Albanir said that. But you you prepare for the prophetic, and it goes in line with something that Pastor Jason used to say. It says prayerful preparation prevents poor performance. So you pray, but you don't just pray and then leave. You prepare. Then I believe that prevents the poor performance, because you got prayer in it. You acknowledge the Holy Spirit. Then you prepared. You did your part. You opened the door for God to do his part. So,
what I took away from the whole thing, honestly, there was parts that were convicting, but I felt like Pastor Jason really put a lot of us on game when it comes to living our lives, because it's like, as a man, like he said something about carrying yourself in like your posture, how you get into a room, all this thing. I feel like we don't really not a lot of people capitalize on that. Like, how you're just saying, what is it saying about you, or how you're talking to people and stuff like that. So me, I really was like, yo, I gotta get myself to order. But also being disciplined, because I think it's very important. Like he was talking about all these great people that have been disciplined and all the great things they've done. And I feel like because we do have God on our side, sometimes we just tend to like just slack a little bit. So it kind of helped me just think like, yo, I should really like get back into a groove, like stay disciplined. So there's a lot of stuff to help me, like a lot of good principles to help me with my life, because it's like in the future, it's only gonna make me better.
Yeah.
and my brothers or other people, so I know, like, also too what you said about a father is because like not having a dad to show you how to do it,
That's
but putting
major.
a lot of men and women on game, it really was like it felt really cozy, it felt safe. Like I know you were being rebuked a little bit, but it was like, yo, I could really, like, he's right.
Yeah.
Like I need to be disciplined, praying my prayer life, spending time with God. I need to not slack. So even that, like sometimes we can dress to look our best on Sunday, but it kind of made me think like every day someone could be watching.
Yeah.
Every day someone could be looking for Jesus, and I'm over here looking like quote unquote not my best. And the first thing they're gonna see is like it throws them away. It's like it's nothing. I can't open the door with that. So it kind of put me in a set like, yo, this is really serious now, bro. You gotta get yourself. You gotta be sharp. You gotta dress. You gotta know how to talk to people. You gotta take your time with people. Can't be like, you gotta love people because that's the most important thing
Right.
that he was saying. Because you can struggle, but just remember that we're all human. Just take your time. So I really appreciate it because it's gonna really help me in the long run.
That was such a, I love the fact that Pastor was just straight with us.
Yeah. It was needed.
Yeah, I love the fact that he just even when it came down to the money part, he's just like, yo, everyone needs money.
Yeah.
It's like, you can act spiritual all you want,
And
but
we like to dance around it. Like,
yeah, he didn't dance around it.
Right.
Thank you, Pastor. If you ever listen to this podcast, thank you for being straight about all of those things. And he was straight about everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything. Because I felt like it's time. It's time.
Yeah.
You could tell, you know, a father wants his kids to be prosperous.